In this segment, we'll discuss the essentials that an executive really should know about the New Zealand wine regions. And when I say essentials or executive essentials, what am I referring to? Well, really, four things. One is what are the grapes typical for a region, the grapes that that region is known for. Secondly, what are the aromas and the flavors that you would expect in a glass of wine from that region? Thirdly, how do I pair that wine with food, or how do I pair food with that wine? For example, if I'm ordering, or perhaps in a client context. And then fourthly, what are the bottles that you really should know? The bottles that are recognizable, bottles that are known brands that should jump off the wine list to you, or that people would generally know. If I move into New Zealand specifics now, let's say central to New Zealand, one is that New Zealand has these interesting Loire Valley roots. And when I say that, what I mean is that the Sauvignon Blanc grape, which is New Zealand's identity grape, that's what they're known for, they're excellent in this grape, it traces its roots back to France, as many grapes do, many wine grapes do, and in particular to the Loire Valley. So that it's interesting to know that for a lot of wines and a lot of regions around the New World, or so-called New World, is that they owe their lineage to grapes that began in France. In this case, is no different. The Loire Valley is the home to Sauvignon Blanc. Its new home is in New Zealand, and in particular does very well in the Marlborough area in New Zealand. One more thing to note, perhaps, if you were to remember one bottle in particular, it would be Cloudy Bay. So a lot of very fine winemakers, and of course it's not fair to single one out, but your guests will, or your clients will, and if there's one name that they'll know, it will be this one. If there's one region they'll know, it will be Marlborough. If there's one grape they'll know from New Zealand, it's Sauvignon Blanc. Now, New Zealand geographically, here you can see the layout of New Zealand. They grow wine in both the northern and southern islands. Marlborough is on the southern island, and it's really the heart of Sauvignon Blanc, or it's the area best associated with it. They've been growing some very, very fine quality Sauvignon Blanc out of this region. So in terms of grapes, that's really the one that we'll focus on. That's the one that I would remember if I were you in an executive context. If somebody's ordering from New Zealand, it's probably this grape. So let's talk about Sauvignon Blanc. What can you expect from the Sauvignon Blanc grape? Sauvignon Blanc is a very distinctive white grape. People can run sort of hot and cold on Sauvignon Blanc depending on how you feel about some of those distinctive characteristics. So typical fruit on the nose, things that you would smell, would be a grapefruit, lime, perhaps melon. But the characteristic that most identifies it for me and for most people is that this herbal cut grass scent. You can smell that on the nose in varying degrees. Some find it very attractive. Some find it perhaps off-putting. It depends on how you feel about it, but it's distinctively Sauvignon Blanc. Another thing that's distinctive to Sauvignon Blanc is the acidity level is quite high, which makes it a pretty food-friendly wine. Whites with high acidity tend to be crisp, easier to match to a variety of foods. So with respect to those foods, how would you go about pairing a Sauvignon Blanc? Certainly chicken, white meat, these would do fine. Fish and shellfish, also natural pairings. Salads, I think, would be especially strong pairings in particular if you have fresh herbs on those salads, because of that greenness in the wine itself. It's a very herbal scented wine, or a cut grass scented wine. So a salad with fresh herbs would be very nice with a bottle like this, or with a wine like this. In terms of bottles to know or specific regions to know, remember Marlborough as the region to know. And if you had to remember one bottle, or if you wanted to pick the iconic bottle off the menu, it would be Cloudy Bay. So to summarize, we talked about Loire Valley roots, and I think for a lot of grapes, it's interesting to know where their home is now. So Sauvignon Blanc certainly has a decided home in New Zealand. New Zealand is known for it. It's a very nice relationship. This is a very good fit for New Zealand's climate. But the Loire Valley is where the roots and the lineage go for that grape. So it's a noble grape from the Loire Valley, from France, came down, found a new home in New Zealand. In particular in the area of Marlborough, where some very high quality wines are being put out. And one to know, one particular bottle, if you had to memorize one, or had to recall one, would be Cloudy Bay.